I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that.
What's going on, guys? Briar Rabbit here. Today we're going to be taking a look at a few different ways to cool a Ryzen 3900X processor. I recently got a hold of this processor and I'm really impressed with it. It's a 12-core, 24-thread processor that retails for about $500 depending on where you find it, where you buy it, and how rare it is at the time. It's actually a pretty rare processor right now. And I've been really impressed with it. It's a fast processor. I think it's affordable for the performance that it gives, especially if you compare it to Intel processors of the past. But one of the things about this is it actually comes with a cooler. This is the Wraith Spire Prism cooler, and it's actually kind of a cool cooler. That's weird. And the reason I say that is because it kind of has this fan on it that does a lot of cool spinny things and a lot of lighting effects. It's also really compact, but I didn't find that it was quite sufficient to cool my processor down. When I ran AIDA64, when I ran kind of a stress test on the processor, I noticed that the temps were getting really high, about 97 Celsius max temps on the processor, and that is not great. The difference between these newer Ryzen processors and something that you may be more familiar with is that they actually run faster the cooler they are. They're kind of more like a GPU in that respect, where the performance of a GPU is often more about how cool you can keep it as opposed to how fast you can overclock it. If you overclock it but it gets super hot, it's going to throttle itself back and get slower. Same goes with this processor, is the hotter it gets, the more it throttles itself to kind of maintain temperature, and what you find is you start losing performance, and in pretty dramatic form. When I actually was running this thing in AIDA64, all cores, just standard, no overclock applied, at 97 degrees Celsius, the max frequency I was seeing was about 4050. 4050 megahertz, which it isn't the advertised speed for this, right? So what I wanted to figure out was how much does cooling matter to frequency on this thing when you're really busting it, and also, how much cooling do you need, right? So I've got a few different aftermarket coolers on the table here, and I tested them all out. The first one is this guy. This is the NH-U12S-SE-AM4. And yes, I had to read it off the box because I can't possibly remember that. This is a relatively small cooler, and I've actually had this around for a few years now. I used to have a streaming PC that was built on the first gen Ryzen platform with a Ryzen 1600 that this was cooling, and it did a fantastic job on that 1600. Never had a problem over temps. It ran super quiet, as Noctuas always do, and it's a kind of a smaller cooler. It's got, I believe, 5 heat pipes. Yeah, 5 heat pipes connected to a nickel-plated base plate with 120 millimeter Noctua fan in kind of the traditional Noctua colors. Keeping it cool, and it does a great job. It did a great job on my 1600, and I was wondering how good it would do on a 3900X. The next one is something that was sent to me for testing by Sai. This is a Fuma B, or Rev B. Fuma, Rev B. This is a little bit different than the Noctua. This is a twin tower style cooler with 6 heat pipes. Again, connected to a nickel-plated base plate. And it's got some interesting features. It's got a really cool pattern kind of cut into the fins that makes it look real three-dimensional. It makes it look really cool. However, you don't necessarily see that too much once it's in your case, because you cover it up with 2 fans that Scythe does provide, which are kind of black and gray and plain looking. So you don't really get to see that cool texture that they cut into the fins. Another weird thing about this was that there is kind of like a chrome finish on it, which makes it look really cool when it's brand new, but it seems like a really soft finish, because just trying to clean fingerprints off of it with a paper towel scratched the chrome finish, which was kind of disappointing, because when you have a nice shiny chrome finish, you definitely want to keep that as nice and shiny as possible. This one retails for about $60 on Amazon right now with the two fans, the twin style cooler. That's compared to the Noctua, which also retails for about $60. So those two, price-wise, are directly comparable. Lastly, Deepcool actually sent me this Assassin 3 cooler, and they're actually claiming that this thing can beat out a Noctua D15 as far as cooling performance, and a 360 millimeter liquid cooler as well. So they got real confidence in this new design of air coolers. And as you can see in the actual case, this thing is a big, chunky, beefy boy. There's 240 millimeter fans. There are, I believe, 7 heat pipes. Twin cooler design, and I think it looks phenomenal. Like, if you're comparing this to a D15 on looks alone, I think this looks way better with kind of the chrome finish, the plastic. Oddly, it does come with a couple of stickers for the Deepcool logo that you stick on yourself, which I didn't do. But it looks cool. And it is cool, too, because it lowered the max temps on my 3900X down to 85 degrees, which actually made a difference as far as the speed of the processor went, because instead of with the Noctua and the Scythe cooler, where I was getting anywhere from 4050 to 4125 megahertz, with the Assassin 3, I was seeing 4100 to 4150 megahertz. That was, you know, in the Ada64 benchmark while going full bore. So cooling the processor with the great big air cooler did make a difference to the actual speed of my processor, which was cool to see. Now, this guy retails for $100, $99.99 on Amazon. I'll put links to all this stuff down in the description of the video so you can see it for yourself on Amazon. But, you know, it really comes down to a decision that you want to make. You know, this thing is huge. As you can see in the case itself, there's RGB memory in this case that you can't see because the cooler is filling it or covering it up. You could possibly move this fan back here, and aesthetically that may be more pleasing. I haven't tested that as far as performance goes. I would imagine it's not that big a difference. As long as you got air flowing through both of the towers, it's probably fine. But yeah, I mean, it's a big honking air cooler, but it performs like a big honking air cooler should, and actually gives you, with the Ryzen processor, more frequency, which is amazing. So, you know, if you need something a little bit smaller, I think the Scythe or the Noctua are great bets. The Noctua performs almost as good as the Scythe by about a difference of 2 degrees. The processor didn't seem to mind either way, those 2 degrees. It's a little bit quieter. Obviously, it's running 1 fan instead of 2. The Noctua fans are known to be very quiet. It's a little smaller. I found it easier to install as well. You know, you can see, obviously, this thing, you got to put a fan on here too still. But obviously, that thing's a lot smaller. And for a 2 degree difference, my preference would probably be for the Noctua in most cases. Just because, you know, smaller air coolers are just so much easier to get around in your case with. But with my computer, with the 3900X I have, I'm going to vote for that extra frequency, and I'm going to go with the big air cooler with the Assassin 3. It just makes sense for me. I want the fastest computer I can get for the money. If I had to decide for that extra $40 between the Noctua and the Scythe that both cost $60, and the Assassin that costs an extra $40 at $100, you know, $40 to unlock what equates to, you know, sometimes about 25 megahertz, 50 to 25 megahertz. I don't know, that's probably individually on you. But for me, I mean, I've already got it, so I'm definitely gonna use it. So that's gonna do it, guys. Expect more content about this computer coming in the future. One thing about testing these coolers out is you'll notice there are no fans in this case. It's basically acted as an open air test bench. There's no fans in the front, there's no fans in the back. When I was testing, there's no top here, there was no glass on the side. Everything was just wide open to ambient air. I maintained a room temperature of 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So the temperatures that are reported in this video are not delta, they're just the temperatures that were reported in Ada64 as far as max temperatures go. And I think that's about it for this video. If you guys have any questions about this or any questions about the individual coolers, let me know down in the description below or in the comments below. And expect more content about this computer in the future because I'm really impressed with this new AMD platform. Right now I'm running a Taichi motherboard with the 3900X, and I gotta say, it's been really impressive. Really impressive. And I'm really happy with it. So we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.